So let's start. Welcome everyone to emelletv, where we bring people from the OCaml, ReasonML, and his script ecosystems to talk about their visions and goals and have fun with Hindley Miner type systems. I'm Gabriel, also known as Fake Nichols on social media. I'm a tech lead right now on Walnut, and we use his script here. It's amazing. It's a great company. Come join us, talk with me. We are hiring. Just a minor edge in the
Nice.
middle here. And off to Dave.
Yeah, I'm David. I'm from Barcelona. I work remotely for Ahrefs. It's an OCaml shop. We do Reason, Rescript, whatever. So yeah, you can join us. It's as good company as Walnut as I can say, but you need to work with me, so I think it's fun. Aside from that, yeah, I maintain some projects for the Reason ecosystem, mostly Style PPX. I think it's one of the ones that I have more put energy. So yeah, that's me. Maybe you want to present yourselves a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm Romain Calascibetta. My nickname is Dinosaure on GitHub, and most of the people know from my nickname. I'm the part of the Mirage OS core team, so I'm involved on the Mirage OS development, and that's mainly what I do every day. So.
Perfect. So from your accent, I think you're French, 100%. And one of the questions that I love to ask for the people who are bilingual or close to bilingual is, in which language do you think when you are programming?
It's in English, but a poor English. It's like and sometimes OCaml. So
Right.
it's in English. After I stay 6 months in Cambridge, is where I met most of the people from Mirage, and this is where I learned the English language because before I was very bad in English, like any French people. But it's in English most of the time.
Perfect.
Mm.
Perfect.
After you know that you have a version of OCaml in French.
I didn't know that.
Chanel numéro 5, like the parfum.
Whoa.
You can check on the Gallium
Today,
website.
today learned something new.
Yeah, you can check, and it's like they translate any word in French. So if you want to,
So it's the same
programming,
syntax with French.
yeah, it's
Nice.
just in the syntactic replacement. But,
Nice. That's very good. It's actually that there's one language called Catalan, and I think it's for formal verification, like something very or legal, some legal stuff. So, and I think
I
or
know Catalan.
reason, right?
Yeah, because I come from the south of France, so not near Toulouse, but near Marseille.
Right.
Yeah, but I know that they are their own language, le Catalan, and but I never speak Catalan.
Yeah.
On my
What
on my
I remember is that there's a project called Catalan, which
okay.
has nothing to do with the language, with the human language, and it's for like legal verification. It's been on
Okay.
Camel as well. So
Okay.
yeah,
I didn't. Oh, it's interesting.
yeah, it was interesting.
Mm.
So you mentioned that you spent 6 months in Cambridge, and we all know that it's the second source of truth. Well, not second source, but the second source of knowledge and power for
Mm.
OCaml. How did you end up working in Cambridge? Did you study OCaml? What's your story?
So at the first time, the really first time, many French people know about that. We had a website which was made by some people from computer science school, and they made some tutorial to make the video game or something like that. And Gabriel Scherer, so the nickname of him is Gash. You probably know him from OCaml. He participates a lot on this website and share some knowledge and made some tutorial about OCaml and about algorithmy. And at this time, I tried to make my own language, like the Dino scheme. And he came to me and he asked me to remake my language with OCaml. And this is the first time when I start to learn OCaml. I was 14 years old. And and yeah, this is the way to when I start to play with OCaml. So we did not have OPA, Easy, or June or something like that. Never PPX or something like that. It was very hard, but yeah, I learned OCaml by this way.
What version of OCaml was?
I started with 3.12.
Right.
Yeah, so we did not have GADT2 because in Tapian 4. And yeah, after I did my internship with Oxygen, the Oxygen team, for 6 months. So I met, because the Oxygen team was at this time was a part of the INRIA, the research institute in France. And this is where OCaml was born. So when I go to the INRIA, I met many people who made OCaml. So Xavier Leroy, Didier Rémy, etc., etc. So I met all of these people. I met Gabriel Scherer, of course.
Right.
After I go to China for an exchange with my school. And I come back and I did a part-time in OCaml Pro, so another company in France. And after I sent an email to Anil and asked to him to do my final internship for my school and to implement email stack in OCaml, and he agreed with that, and I did my internship in Cambridge and stay 6 months here. So voilà.
Nice. That's a good story. That's definitely a good story. So you have been coding for OCaml for, how old are you now then?
So I have 29.
Right.
And now it's
years
about
or 15 years now.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think.
Okay. Yeah, that's some seniority right here. Yeah. Yeah. So aside from so you started asking Anil about contributing to Mirage already. When you joined Mirage, what form the project was, like at what stage was, and how that started, basically. Yeah.
So Mirage. So when I start my internship in Oxygen, the question was to integrate co-HTTP inside Oxygen. And this is where I start to talk more with Anil, because he made mainly co-HTTP at this time. And for me, it's like it was a revolution, because I'm an aficionados about OCaml. It's like the best language ever for the world. And when he starts the idea about a full operating system, a minimal operating system in OCaml, of course, it's like the biggest idea ever, because we come back to we come back to 27. The first paper about Mirage is about 27. So the idea of unikernel was not really famous as it does now. But yeah, it was a revolution, and I tried to be a part of that and try to integrate the email stuff, because I don't know why, but I was interested to implement email stack in OCaml for Mirage, and voila. So this is where I come when I come in Mirage.
Perfect. So what's the speech for Mirage? Like we mentioned that it's to create lightweight operating systems. For the ones that never heard of Mirage and are opening the website now, how would you describe Mirage?
So Mirage is like a framework to develop an application, and after he is able to provide an artifact, a final artifact. So it can be an operating system, and it's mainly an operating system for you. And after, the question is much more about security and performance, because when you want to write an application, you bring many dependencies. And most of the time, when you want to make a website, like you want to make a website with PHP, you have many dependencies, and you don't have the control of all of that. You don't know really what you bring about dependency. And the point is just to focus on what you really need about your application, and provide a framework which help you to bring only what you really need, and finally give you an artifact which can be deployed in your context. So after, we have many contexts. We talk about operating system, but when we talk about that artifact, is about operating system for Google Cloud, for Amazon, for KVM, for Xen, for in experimentation Raspberry Pi 4. So regardless the application, the Mirage tool is able to build your application for this target, and without any changements, and you are sure about what is going on the crypto level, HTTP level, etc. Because everything is statically now, so it's a big thing. Yeah.
Right. So you mentioned a few things. Well, you mentioned a few things that are interesting here. Is we came from the world where, or at least I came from the world where, like, you would install PHP, Nginx, PHP VPM, and then you would run everything. You would run Compose, and you would install. Similar story with JavaScript. You would npm install, deploy Node, put some, like, deploy it somewhere. And you mentioned that the security of it, it's very important. Or, like, if you have control of the dependencies, then what? You mean, like, then you would have, like, more security? And what's the end goal?
Yeah, because if you have the control about dependency and you know about what you use, you are aware about what is going on for your application. You know that, okay, I will take the OCaml TLS stack. So I have a direct link about my application and OCaml TLS, and I can check CVE or security issue on OCaml TLS. The point about the current application, the current design of application is like an obscure archaeology of multiple layer, and it was so huge that you cannot introspect what is really going on. And for me, the bug in OpenSSL in 28, I think, the Airblade issue, security issue, is much more about an obscurantism about dependency than a real bug in OpenSSL. Because for most of the time, you just want a crypto things, and you never really know which stack you choose for the crypto things. You never say that, okay, I would like to have strictly OpenSSL or this kind of version of OpenSSL. You never ask by yourself this kind of question. So after, it's like the responsibility is not given for the end user who made the application, but is given to the OpenSSL developer. And
Right.
of course, the OpenSSL developer cannot take care about any details. And for us, it's just a control back about what is going on with the application. If you get the control, you are much more aware about security issue, and
Right.
you can go on your way, and yeah, it's better, I think.
Right. So
Mm.
when you're building or implementing a Mirage OS application, you're like telling the program or telling the Mirage dependency, I need TCP/IP, I need access to the file system, I need blah, blah, like whatever is available in the system, and then yeah,
Yeah,
the rest is
yeah,
yeah,
it's
that's the
like
magic.
yeah, in one side you have your application, you have your functor. So it's an OCaml functor. So if you know about functor, it's easy
Mhm.
one. You have module and signature. And after, on the second side, you have a manifest which describe how to compile your application. And this is where you will choose which implementation you want. So for instance, for the file system, you can say, okay, I expect to have a file system for my Mirage OS. And after,
Mhm.
on the other side, you can choose strictly one. You can say that, okay, I want to have this file system, this implementation of the file system. And you have many choice, and you don't need to change your application depending
Right.
on the implementation of what you choose. It's like only interface, so it's like an abstraction, and you can
Right.
say that okay, the file system will live in memory, for example. So in
Mhm.
some context is good, in some context is bad. Or you can say that, okay, it's a full block device on the hard drive, and I will use that. And on the
Right.
application point of view, nothing changed because you have an interface which give you an access to the file system.
Right.
So it's where we say that you can build an unique kernel depending on your context. You just need to describe which device you want. So when we talk about a functor, we talk about device, especially.
Right. Okay. Perfect. So yeah, that I think that's the magic of the interface. I think many people, not even functional programmers as well, like object-oriented programming as well, like dreams about this
Mm.
all the time. So yeah, that's truly well thought and sounds amazing. Aside from security, I heard, and that's just rumors, about crazy performance. But I think everybody, like every time that we talk about OCaml, we mention the performance, blah blah blah. But particularly Mirage OS, I think it's something remarkable. What
So
can you say for?
the first goal for us is to implement something which works, and we take the big focus on security first. This is the most important, and after we care about performance. But
Mhm.
yeah, we did several improvements. We are aware about the development of OCaml because, of course, it is interesting to the Mirage OS performance. And our goal is to say that if we are fast as an usual operating system, it's the best. We don't want to have crazy performance like the most the most fast HTTP server. We don't. We want to do that, but it's another goal, and we prefer to
Mhm.
focus on security. After we are deeply involved on the OCaml compiler. We know about the OCaml compiler, so we know how to take the advantage of performance with OCaml, and we did several benchmark and so on. And we try to describe what we did for some piece of software where we put a lot of effort about performance. So yeah, it's not the best as we can see if we compare some other unikernel, but after, if you have the trade-off between security, type system, performance, we have a good deal. I mean, this is the most important.
Totally. Totally. So we are here today because you and of course Mirage team released a new version that has been 3, 4, 5 years in the motion.
Yeah, it's officially it's 3 years. We start to talk about that in 2019.
Okay. So what it includes, what are the changes? I know that we're getting like from the what it is into the changelog straight. So if you need to like clarify what backends are or like whatever like topic, go on.
So the Mirage 4 come with a big improvement about the build system. So we integrate Dune because, as I said, Mirage OS it's an old project. So for a long time we used OCaml build and some other old artifacts from the OCaml community. And we did the choice to move on, etc. But yeah, it took a long time because we have a huge ecosystem and we need to care about the complete ecosystem when it's about an upgrade, and say that, okay, nothing will change. Even if we use Dune behind, you are able to make your own unikernel without big changements. And the big step was about the cross compilation, because we already experimented that several years ago, mostly with Lucas, which did the ESP32 portage of Mirage OS, and we found several problems about that, mostly about OCaml build and the OCaml ecosystem. And we tried to solve that with Dune, and now we are able to really cross-compile a Mirage OS to another target. So we are mainly able to cross-compile like an unikernel for another architecture if you want. And it will be a big step because Mirage OS 4 is mainly about the workflow. It's not about like we did famous unikernel, but it will unlock several things, and we will try to improve that, mostly about Internet of Things, etc. And this is what we start the Raspberry Pi 4 portage, and try to experiment on that, because now it's much more easy to just make an operating system in OCaml, a bare metal operating system in OCaml for Raspberry Pi 4. So we will continue on that way. So yeah.
Cool. So like the history about Mirage, that like it's still like very intriguing for me. So it started as, there are some ideas that it can happen from the point where like somebody sit down and implement all the kernel in OCaml, and from now on, like it gets blurred for me. How would you like how can you explain to me that I'm going completely newbie from a kernel or even a unikernel, what has been done and what's needed to make a project like that?
So yeah, we have three things in Mirage. You have unikernel, and as I said, the unikernel has an abstraction about device. They said that we want the TCP/IP, etc. After, you have the Mirage tool, which will do the dispatch about implementation needed by your application, depending on where you want to deploy the Mirage OS. And behind, we have a small kernel, a really small kernel. So for instance, it's a Solo 5. So you can check the Solo 5 project. And it's a really small kernel which provide what the camel runtime need. And this is the only thing that Solo 5 just boot, just do the bootstrap things. And after, he just launch the camel runtime and says that, okay, I will run the first entry point of the OCaml program, and that's all. So it's like we have Solo 5, but for instance, Solo 5 has multiple targets. Solo 5 has a target for Z. He has a target for HVT, for KVM, for Google Cloud. After, for Raspberry, we have another project because it's much more intrinsic to implement syscall required by the OCaml runtime. So we do that. We did that, and after
But
we
only for Raspberry. So sorry to interrupt, but only for Raspberry, you have like another.
Yeah, we have another kernel. But it's a really small one. It's like we have only 5 syscall. If you take the whole dependency, the kernel only do on the assembly code only 5 syscall. It's like the monotonic clock, the POSIX clock sometimes, and just read write some memory page. That's all.
Okay.
And after all the rest is done in OCaml. So after it's
right. So I would love to answer like the silly questions. So you mentioned different devices. It's abstracted from Mirage. That's kind of like one of the beauties of it. And you have like Google Cloud or whatever. Is there an idea to make it in mobile? Is that possible, or that doesn't make sense for Mirage?
So yeah, it makes sense. The biggest question all the time is much more about cross compilation, and the biggest step was about third-party library, because as I said, we have the kernel, we have the Mirage tool, and after you have the whole ecosystem. But the question is how to say to the ecosystem, okay, I want to build this C code for my target. The link is hard because you have a choice on the Mirage level, which say, okay, I want to build for mobile or Raspberry Pi. And if you do that, you need to switch third-party library and say to them, okay, you want to build something for Raspberry Pi, so you need to give me a C code which is able to run on the Raspberry Pi. And so this is a question of the cross compilation, and we tried to experiment with Mirage 3, but it was not super useful, and we got many problems. Now the idea is to say that we will bring any dependency needed for your application, and we will just ask to really cross-compile with a cross-compiler, a C cross-compiler, and an OCaml cross-compiler. We will try to build your artifact for mobile, etc. So as Lucas said, is like Mirage 4 is not a deep, it's not a big changement, but yeah, it will unlock the ability to extend targets. Today we have 6 targets, and now it's easy to extend that to mobile, to some other runtime, etc., etc. It will be easy to do that, and this is a big change because we don't need to think on the third-party library, especially, for example, about crypto, because in crypto you need to have some assembly instruction like AES or something like that. But if this instruction is not available for ARM64 or something like that, what you do? And the question is much more, okay, we will try to compile the crypto things with some information with the targets. And after the third-party library, we'll know that, okay, the guy would like to compile to ARM64, and he will bring the right assembly code.
Makes sense. That's great. What's the like the best use case, or what would you use Mirage for aside from the Mirage website, which is like a nice dog fooding? But yeah, aside from like a website, what are the perfect use cases for Mirage?
So we mostly focus on service. So, for instance, you have a domain name, like I know, emelletv, for example, and you want to handle that. So the usual case to do that is to ask to the provider to handle that. Or if you want to handle that by yourself, you need to have a server, and you mostly use Bind9, a software which care about that. And for us, it's just to say that an unikernel does one service. And we provide, for instance, the Mirage.io domain name is handled by an unikernel. And this unikernel is completely separate to the website unikernel. And this is where you have the value of the containerization, but at another layer, because we talk about virtualization, is to say that, okay, we have one application which does only one thing. So we are close to the Unix philosophy, and just say like it's a full operating system just to handle the domain name, just to handle the website. And for these years, we mostly work on the SMTP stack, and we made 6 unikernel, and just to handle email stack, to receive, sign, resend email, etc., etc. And the point is mostly about security. Is like if someone want to attack, for instance, the SMTP stack for the incoming email, he cannot have an access by fact because it's the virtualization. He cannot have an access to another unikernel because it's completely separate on memory, etc. So about security is like the containerization, but the problem of the containerization with Docker or something like that is like you trust on the host operating system, and you can have a file, a security issue on the host operating system. In that case, you can say that, okay, it's a full operating system which cannot communicate in any way and in any side channel way to other unikernel. So the point is just to say that you want an application which does something like domain name, email, but you just have a static website, or I don't know, Mindy did an URL shortener or something like that. You make an unikernel, and the unikernel do only this job by itself, and it's cool.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. And what are the competences? Like who's competing with Mirage OS?
So we have some. We have Ramprun, or we have OSV, or I know that Go has another unikernel, and we have Unicraft, which is a famous one. It depends the view. The view of Mirage is to say that everything will be done in OCaml. Less C code is better. So it's like the kernel is in C code because we need to do some stuff in C. But after the whole stack about HTTP, about TLS, about TCP/IP, all of this stuff is in OCaml because we trust in OCaml on the top system. So after, some other people think that the best is to take an application like, for instance, MySQL, and try to see what MySQL need about syscall, and re-implement this kind of syscall, and after statically link MySQL with what we provide and get a unikernel. So the ambition of Mirage OS is to restart the world and say that we have nothing, and we have only the CAML runtime, and build something better from the CAML runtime. So
is that the biggest difference from other implementations?
So for instance, for Unicraft, they do that too, but they do that in C, and it's like okay, you can do that in C, but we don't want to use C because we know that you have many problems in C. So yeah, for us, it's like everything will be in OCaml, and it's why sometimes some people have some trouble. Is like, okay, maybe I can try to integrate Python inside the Mirage OS, and we say no, because it's like we don't have any shell, we don't have anything for that. So you must do what you want in OCaml.
Perfect.
The cool,
It's an opinionated one.
Yeah, but the cool fact is like we have a big advantage from some other unikernel is the Coq language, which can prove some implementation. And currently, the Mirage crypto, so the stack used by Mirage, has some proof from Coq about some crypto primitive. So that mostly means that from the point of view of security, maybe we are something slower than what Unicraft can provide. But from the point of view of security, we have a proof that we do the right things. So it's really...
that sounds interesting. You like with Mirage OS, I think one of the features or principles that you can leverage like the OCaml community or the ecosystem into your application. And I think you mentioned that you bring Dune into the latest release. So would you like, now I didn't went through the get started guide, but would you install Mirage as an open package and you can install any sort of dependency and you would run Dune to build your code, or you would run Mirage to build your code that generates Dune? So what's the order of compilation?
So the workflow of Mirage is you make your application. So mainly we name that unikernel.ml. This is where you have your functor. On the other side, you have the config.ml, which is the manifest, which explains how to build the unikernel. After, you need to launch the Mirage configure. The Mirage configure will, it's like, okay, I would like to make a unikernel for Google Cloud. So the target is Virtuo. You say Mirage configure target Virtuo. And after, you have another step, and this is a big one, is like you need to bring all dependency needed for the unikernel. So Mirage already solves that. He knows that which dependency is needed to make your unikernel. So after, you need to launch make depends, and the make depends will just download all dependency needed inside a universe directory. So we use OPAM monorepo for that.
Lots. Yeah, now that we had some great questions lined up, let's wait.
In the middle of the answer. Oh, that's super annoying.
Yeah, let's wait for him to come back. And
that's great.
Yeah, that was a really interesting question. I was actually about to ask him.
It's a break. It's all prepared.
He's back. That's mad. Okay.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah, I don't know why, but so yeah, I was about Universe things, OPAM monorepo things, and so we bring all dependencies depending on the target you choose on, and after you just need to run Dune build, and that's all. After you have the artifact at the end.
Right.
So after you can launch a Mirage build, because historically we did that. But yeah, it's just a call to Dune build, so it's fine.
Perfect. So as part of the release of the 4.0 includes a new website and all the things that include, which is like documentation, all the guides, the blog, blah, blah, blah. And you mentioned off stream that the documentation is like getting better, but still pretty hard. What are the things that are hard to explain, or you didn't put like the time to document them?
So it's much more about the goal of Mirage, where we need to re-implement everything. So we implement TCP IP stack, which is used by Docker for in some way, and crypto things, etc., etc. So it's like we have a huge effort to do to try to, at the end, give some small application for the end user, and this is the real hard part, because
Right.
it's a big thing just to re-implement. I mean, we re-implemented the DNS stack to just be able to talk with Google.com, because you need to
Right.
get the IP, etc., etc. The TCP/IP
Right.
one is a hard one. After, we can talk about crypto. And it's hard to just have a global view about all of this dependency and be aware about all of this dependency. If you want to be involved in Mirage, of course, if you just want to make a unique kernel, you don't need to be aware about all of this stuff. But when you want to be a part of the Mirage adventure, it's pretty hard to going in and understand what happens in any level, because it's like
Right.
we do a static link of all what you need for a simple website, but this is where you can find the complexity of a website behind some few page. You have many things to do. So
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, they're not only pixels. Yeah. Right. So we spend like a lot of time talking about the technical side. How big is the team? How do you get like to work together? Who sponsors you? Who pays you? What's the human part of Mirage?
So we have a core team. So we are maybe 12 or 13, something like that. The point is to say that the core team lead the Mirage OS project. But after, of course, we have many people around the core team who participate to the Mirage OS project in many ways, because what we did about libraries, the ecosystem, of course, it's used by the Mirage OS project, but after it's used by some other people like Tezos, Gen Street, etc. So it's not like we are only alone on our side and we do some stuff like operating system. We are a part of the OCaml ecosystem, and thanks for any people who participate to the Mirage organization in any way, because it's a big work, and after, for us, it's just about to care about the participation and the improvement of some project from many, and after we choose some direction, and we do a meeting like so currently it's like 2 per month, but after we talk via side channel, via Slack or Matrix every day, because it's a huge work, so we care about the whole ecosystem. So mainly, Mirage OS was made by Thomas and Anil, I think at the beginning in the 27, and after the team grow in Cambridge. They get some people from the Cambridge University, and currently some of them still continue to participate to the Mirage OS project. Some people come from Citrix, which care about the Xen hypervisor. And after, at one time, some people from the Mirage core team go to the Docker corporation, and we still have one guy from Docker who care about Mirage OS. The name is David Scott. He made an article about that. So we have many people. After, Thomas Gazaner made Tarides in France. So I was a part of Tarides at the beginning. And on the other side, Hannes did Robur in Germany. And both with OCaml Labs, of course, which was the beginning of all of this team. So all of this company try to sell Mirage OS in some clients. So we have currently we have a project. So it's not already public, but they already say that they want to do that, and I think it's close to be done. But NitroKey, it's one of the projects. It's like a router, and behind this router to handle connection, it's a Mirage OS. So and after just about the Mirage OS ecosystem, people from Gen Street and Tezos give us some money just to maintain all of this piece of software, because it's really important for them just to care about security issue.
Right. So is Tezos, I think Gabriel is a big fan of cryptocurrencies. So is Mirage OS like deployed in Tezos or used in a way?
So they have a plan. So I'm not on the paper, but they have a plan to use Mirage OS and finally provide some node in Mirage OS, some Tezos node in Mirage OS. After
Okay.
it take a long time, because after it's like a big introspect about dependency, of course. And it's like you need to take Tezos and just look about all dependency and see if all dependency is still compatible with Mirage OS. So I think they want to do that, but after, yeah, it will take a big time for that. So, but the truth is like they already use some Mirage OS projects, mainly Mirage Crypto, OCaml TLS, Digestif, Irmin. So of course we are involved on the Tezos development in any way.
Perfect. And this year, I think it's a big year for OCaml. Not my words, and probably Anil words, because it's apparently like the year of multicore in OCaml. How
Yeah.
P5 or multicore affects Mirage?
So it's a big deal because for Mirage we already start with the idea that we cannot fork a process. We have only one process, and that's all. And this is the usual design of any Mirage. So of course multicore came with many problems, and but we already start to think about the underlying layer, because it's much more about that. Is like what the OCaml runtime need to run, and so what the underlying layer need to provide to the OCaml runtime. And currently, we are aware and we discuss with the multicore team to reduce what multicore expects about syscall, etc., and try to find the best way. But after, yeah, of course, it's a big work, and it's even a big work because we use deeply LWT. So even if we know that LWT has a compatibility layer with multicore, we know that it will not be the same with OCaml 5, and yeah, it will be a big change, but we already have some deep discussion, some technical discussion with multicore, and they are aware about our requirements. So it will not dead. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And did you guys start thinking about the next release? Like what are the other thing that you like, aside from like the accessibility, kind of like the build and the tooling, what are the other milestones that you want to that you already know to
Yeah,
tackle?
it will be multicore. I mean, the real next goal for Mirage 5 will be multicore, and I think we are close to have something like a proof of concept which works. I know that Luca currently work on that. After, it's much more about the ecosystem and how to move the full ecosystem to multi-core. We already start to do that, but of course, it takes a big time. I mean, for instance, it's like how to put HTTP on multi-core, how to put all of this library to multi-core, and yeah, it will take a time, but we know the plane, so I think we have a clear path about that.
Makes sense. Sense. I think I smashed all my questions. I see Antonio on the chat. I see a few people on the chat. Do you guys have any sort of question or any sort of
Yeah.
for or doubt about Mirage?
Yeah, I have a quick question. Like, for anyone out here looking to play a bit with Mirage, what's the like a fun project to do, like in a quick weekend, to have some fun with Mirage and get to know what's it for, what does it do, right?
So the best way to start with Mirage is just to have some kind of idea of some dumb project. This is what we mostly do in the Mirage OS retreat. Is like some people want to make a game with train or something like that, and
Right.
it's like it gives you the opportunity just to learn. So after, for us, for the Mirage OS core team, we want to go further and do some serious stuff like DNS or SMTP or website, etc. But it's like a funny things, like, because you can have something, and for instance, for the Raspberry Pi 4, when we start to experiment on that, we try to make a guirlande for Christmas tree. So I don't know
I saw the picture. Yeah.
and
So
so
you're
it's
thinking like all the Internet of Things that are toys, right? That's
it's like a dump, like it's just a guirlande, and it's not a big deal, but you learn a lot about Raspberry Pi, what Raspberry Pi can provide, GPIO, etc., and you try to make your rabbit hole, and try to go further and just play, and this is the best way for me to learn about Mirage. Just try to make something for fun, even if it's not the end, or even if you don't finish it for 1 month after. You learn a lot just about operating system and what is going on, and this is the best of what Mirage can give you from
That makes sense.
Yeah, that sounds very fun to do, like for anyone that has some hacker feelings. Just another quick question, like how can I like support Mirage? How can I like either like by coding or doing as contributor or sponsoring?
So we have the Mirage OS organization, so you can check that on GitHub, and it's like, because many library available on the Mirage organization was used by many people, and just you want to do something not even about Mirage. You just want to make an application for yourself, and you need I don't know, you need crypto things, or you need an HTTP client. You just need to put a pull request, and we will be happy to help you and merge and try to integrate you on the change of the software. For instance, I really take care about that. I spend like 3 days per week just to look around about what is going on the Mirage OS ecosystem, and just try to integrate what people did, and say thanks to them, because even if it's not at the end a Mirage goal, it's an ecosystem improvement, so it's good.
Right.
That's great. Yeah, some open source feelings.
And if
Yeah.
I- if the team- Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I see the donate for Robur, and yeah, of course, you can donate to Robur.
Right. What's Robur? If I'm
Robur is an association from Anes,
Mhm.
who is a part of the Mirage core team, and is specialized on the development of OCaml. You want to sell them, so yeah.
That's
Nice.
quite amazing.
Mm.
Very cool.
Yeah, we should have Hannes. I mean, I think it's one of the goals of MLTV to just like do a Mirage OS workshop. I think having more material and more documentation, I think that could be massive. I asked you offline, what's the next conference, and how you guys meet, and what's the Marrakesh history. So could you share what's all that?
So normally, so we didn't do that for the COVID, of course, but normally every 2 times per years, Anes organize a retreat in Marrakesh. So in Morocco, it can be in Mirlev too. And it's like, so why he did that? Because he knows some people in Marrakesh. It's a French girl in Marrakesh who lives in Marrakesh and has a big riad in the center of Marrakesh. And the goal is just to come and just mainly enjoy to meet many people who are not really involved on the OCaml community. So of course, many people are involved on the OCaml community, but sometimes we have some artists, some people from the Chaos Computer Club, because Anes was involved a time on the Chaos Computer Club. So sometimes we have some hackers, some people who are not really aware about OCaml, but it's just like we share some knowledge, we share a vision about the society and what we should do
Right.
next, and we drink a lot of beer, of course. And as I said, we have so in this riad you have a rooftop on the with the view of Marrakesh with the Atlas Mountains, and it's a really nice view. You can check on some blog post, etc. Yeah, yeah, it's like some anarchist people,
Right.
and yeah, it's just like for fun. You don't need to really work. If you don't want to work, you don't need to work. You don't have any deadline. The big deal is just
How many?
yeah, it's just to
Yeah, how many showers?
enjoy. Yeah. So I hope that for the next years we will organize that, and yeah, and I hope that many people will come, because it's really it's like a vacation between programmers and many other people, and it's all the time. It's really interesting just to talk and meet them, and the food is good, and the place is good, and
Okay, amazing.
you have the sun. Yeah, you have everything. It's like the not the best place of the world, but one of them, of course.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Should definitely go there.
So I see that on the chat. I think we have like many people from the core team, and I'm just now talking to them if they are online still. What would you ask Dinosaur if you would be me? What are the questions that you would kind of put him in trouble, or make him nervous about
Uh,
anything really, but mostly about OCaml. But yeah,
Something nervous. I would like to say how to deal with multicore, because we know that it's a big it's a big one. We saw that for a long time, because when I stayed in Cambridge, I stayed in the same office than Casey. So we talk a bit about multicore. So we saw that, but as one guy who care about the ecosystem, it will not be a good travel just to improve all library which need multi-core things. So this is a big step for me, and we need many people. I think it's not. Yeah. Lucas say Factorio because you can play in Factorio in Mirage Retreat. For a long time, we just go to the Mirage Retreat and we play for 3 days in Factorio with Pierre Chambard and so on, and it was very good. But yeah, it's like Factorio with some core team from the OCaml. Yeah. Yeah, it's
How
we have
angry when I make the pair to Virtio Multico. Nice.
yeah, it's we have a lot of to do, and we are few. This is the main problem about Mirage. We have only 13, 14, and it's a huge project. Like for me, it's much more than a full-time job. Spend a lot of weekends on Mirage.
Right. So it's as well like a hobby as well as a job.
Yeah, it's at this level, it must be a hobby. You cannot.
Yep.
Yeah.
How many of you are like working full time? Is the 13 the core team working on it full time?
No, the core team is much more about decision, but after most of the core team work in full time. So, for instance, Robur, it's like full time for everyone for Mirage. In Tarides, we have a few people who work on Mirage in full time, and sometimes some people like I would like to say Thomas Léonard or David Scott, even Thomas Gazaner or Anil sometimes work with Mirage. After sometimes we have some people who came and left and come back, like I would like to say Cristiano. He take care about his family for a time, so he just left Mirage to take care about his family and come back then for Mirage. So it's like a big round table. Like some people come, some people left, and but for a long time it's much more about 5-6 people in full time. Yeah. I would like to say that.
Yeah, so I think we're reaching a point where I think we spoke a lot, and I think yeah. So if you have any question about anything that you want to add, Dinoosaure, feel free to do it.
Or just imagine something like a game, a Raspberry Pi game, or something like that, and give a chance to Mirage OS. It will be nice just to try and play and learn, and that's all. This is for me. This is a big view of Mirage OS, just for fun, not something
Nice.
serious.
Right. So yeah, for the ones that are front end on chat, stop getting the drama of Rescript and all the drama, all the React, all the UI, and do some real code, right? Like I think that's the message. Play around.
Yeah, it's like
and you will learn a ton.
Yeah, it's like just open your editor, do something, and play with that, and don't be worried about difficulties because we are here, and this is what you can see on the Marrakesh retreat. We can integrate anyone who want to be involved in the Mirage team. We are not if you don't have a huge knowledge about C, about OCaml, about Mirage. That does not matter because the best thing is like the social link each other, and this is made everything for the next years. So yeah.
Nice. Love your words.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that's
thanks
amazing.
for your time. That was like a really good chat. I think we already have been like enthusiasts about Mirage. Now we know a little bit more, and now we can celebrate their new release. So congrats, the team, and congrats to you of course.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, that was great. The conversation was really smooth. Thanks for your time again. And
Yep.
the chat was quite amazing, quite fun. I hope to see you soon again in Mirage 5
Yeah.
or earlier, right?
In
For some other-
Marrakesh.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, we would publish this as a YouTube video. So the entire like kind of hour or around the stream started, it will be posted on YouTube, so you can share it with anyone.
Yeah,
And
it will be
that was
cool.
the first episode of the season. Thanks everybody to join.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
thanks
great.
for you. Thanks to organize that. It's pretty cool to have a new channel to discuss about OCaml because
Yeah, that's
it's, all the time it's about French people. Now it's much more about any people. So it's very good. Yeah, thanks for that.
Thanks. So see you and have a
See you, everyone.
Yeah, see you. Yeah.
See you,
See you guys.
to the next one, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye bye.